She'ein lahem. Get rid of that. Elu divarim she'ein lahem shi'or. These are things that are limitless, of which a person enjoys the fruit of the world while the principle remains in the world to come. And they are honoring one's father and mother, engaging in deeds of compassion, arriving early for study morning and evening, dealing graciously with guests, visiting the sick, providing for the wedding couple, accompanying the dead for burial, being devoted in prayer, and making peace among people. But the study of Torah encompasses them all because it leads to them all. We continue with the 150th Psalm, the Psalm that tells us that when words aren't sufficient, we need to praise God with drum and dance and harp and lyre and cymbals and every aspect of our being. Hallelujah, 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 We continue with the Hatzi Kaddish, which is the connecting prayer, the bridge, the prayer that connects all the introductory things we've been doing with the main portion of the service.
Bagala, Bagala, Ubisman Kari, Bimiru, Ishame Rab, Devorak, Alamulame Amaya, Iparak, Beyishtabat, Bipai Abit, Mam Beyit Nasei, Beyit Hadar, Beyit Ale, Beyit Allah, Shemedi Kudisha, Layli Lam, Kol Birkata, the Shirata, Dushbekata, the Nekemata, Damiran, El Dimiru.
If you are able, please rise in body or spirit for the Baruch Hu, the call to worship. Baruch Hu Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach. You are praised who rolls out the rough, raw clay of the universe into delicate vessels of light. And from nothing at all, we could perceive in a world that has turned old, a shimmering new creation right before our eyes, made this moment just for us. How much of life reveals your presence? How much Torah unfolds from each new flower, from each new wave that breaks upon the sea? You are praised, who forms from the clay that cloaks our lives the delicate vessels which contain our light. Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer Hamaorot. Once or twice in a lifetime, a man or woman may choose a radical leaving, having heard Lech Lecha, go forth. God disturbs us toward our destiny by hard events and by freedom's now urgent voice, which explode and confirm who we are. We don't like leaving, but God loves becoming. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher ba'amo Yisrael, ba'ahava.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shem Kevod, Malakuto, Leolam Vaed.
Please be seated.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Eloheka v'kol levaaka v'kol nafsheka v'kol meodeka v'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anoki tzaveka hayom alevaveka v'shinanta levaneka v'dibarta bam Vashivtika, Bebeteka, Ulektika, Vaderek, Shokbeka, Ukumeka, Ukshartam, Ayodal, Al Yadeka, Ayula Totafo, Aineka, Uktaftam, Al Mesuzo, Beteka, Ubishareka. Laman tiskeru ve'asitem ekol mitzvotai yet beitim kedoshim le'eloheikem ani Adonai Eloheikem asher hotziet yechem me'eretz mitzrayim liot lachem le'elohim ani Adonai Eloheikem.
When justice burns within us like a flaming fire, when love evokes willing sacrifice from us, and when, to the last full measure of selfless devotion, we demonstrate our belief in the ultimate triumph of truth and righteousness, then your goodness enters our lives and we can begin to change the world. And then you live in our hearts, and we, through righteousness, behold your presence. And like Moses, Miriam, and all Israel, we sing out and rejoice with Micha Mocha. That's mine?
Yeah.
Oh, so it is. Micha Mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha Mocha nehedar b'kodesh, Norah tehilot, oseh balad, Norah tehilot, oseh balad, Shira chadasha, Shibachuka ulim, L'shimcha sefat hayam, Yachad kulam, Odu v'himlechu, v'ameru, Adonai yimloch, Adonai yimloch, le'olam va'ed. Sur Yisrael, Kuma be'ezrat Yisrael, Uvdechinu mecha, Yehuda b'Yisrael, Go aleinu, Adonai tzvaot shemo, Kadosh Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai, Israel. If you are able, please rise in body or spirit for tefillah.
Adonai seipatativtak ufi agitehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. El Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Hagon, Lomel Chasatim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vesoker Gaseavot V'Imahot, Umevigu Laliv Neveneihem, Leman Shemo Ve'ahava, Melech Ozer Umakia Umaken. Baruch atah Adonai, Megan Abraham, Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mekayeh Hakol, Atah Rav Lehoshia.
Too high for me.
Umorit Hagashem. Bekel Kaim Bekesed, Mechaye Hakol Berakamim Rabim, Somek Noflim Berofei Kolim, Umatir Azurim, Umakayim Ebutot Umato, Lishene Afar, Mikamoka Al Gevurot. Umidomelak, Nami, Atzmiak Yeshua, B'nei Hakayot, Hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekayeh Hakol.
We continue with Kedusha. Nekadesh et shimcha ba'olam, Kashem shemakdishim oto b'shmei marom, Hakatuv al yad nevi'acha, V'karaz al zeh v'amar, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzvaot, V'lo ha'aretz Kivodo, Adir, Adirenu, Adonai, Adonenu, Ma'adir Shimcha B'chol Ha'aretz, Baruch Kivod Adonai, Mimkomo. Ahadu Eloheinu, Hu Avinu, Hu Malkeinu, Umoshienu, Yashmienu, Barachamav le'enei kol chai. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Yimloch Adonai le'olam, Elohayich Tzion, L'dor v'dor. Hallelujah. L'dor v'dor nagid god lecha, U'netzach netzachim kedusha chad makdish, V'shivchacha Eloheinu mipinu lo yamush, La'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Please be seated. We offer thanks, O God, for this Shabbat, which unites us in faith and hope, for Shabbat holiness, which inspires sacred living, for Shabbat memories glowing even in darkness, For Shabbat peace, born of friendship and love, we offer thanks and blessing, O God. Blessed are you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat. And we can, who's Baruch atah Adonai, Makadesh Shabbat. Blessed, I said that already. Blessed, a praise to you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat. We're going to continue with Sim Shalom, our prayer for peace. I always say you can't pray for peace in enough different languages, and certainly this world could use a whole lot more peace. Let's pray not only for the peace of Shabbat, but for the peace of the new year and in the years to come. Sim Shalom.
Sim shalom, sim shalom, sim shalom, Torah ubrata, sim shalom, sim shalom, sim shalom. Came back as a Israel, Omeka, Sim Shalom, Sim Shalom.
Grant peace, goodness, and blessing, grace, kindness, and mercy to us and to all your people, Israel. Bless us, our Creator, all of us together through the light of your presence. Truly, through the light of your presence, Adonai, our God, you gave us a Torah of light, the love of kindness, justice, and blessing, mercy, life, and peace. Praised are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamvarech et Amo Yisrael. Shalom. Let's take a few moments at this time for some silent prayer and reflection.
Say shalom, Imrama. Say shalom, Aleinu. Le'alcha Yisrael. Oh, say shalom, Imrama. Say shalom aleinu, le'alcha Yisrael, le'inu, Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, le'alcha Yisrael, Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu, le'alcha Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu, le'alcha Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu, le'alcha Yisrael.
Thank you, Gail.
You're welcome.
Lost it. Okay, well. So here it is. We've just been through quite a week. I'm just going to move this over a little bit. We have just been through quite a week. So we have been through a blizzard of historic proportions. Some of us have been more impacted than others, but none of us have been unaffected. Some of us have had some real tragedy, and some of us have come through relatively unscathed. Of course, the comparison, those of us who remember it, with the blizzard of 77 has been inevitable. But there is no question that all of us have come through a period of unsettling times. So, after receiving bad news or experiencing a tragic event, people will sometimes say, it's God's will. There's even a Yiddish phrase that captures that idea. It's beshert, meaning it was meant to be. So, we talked about this a little bit in Torah study this morning. So what do you think? Do you agree? Are you comfortable with the idea that everything is preordained? Is that in keeping with your philosophy, or does it rub you the wrong way? In this week's Parsha, this week's Torah portion, Vayigash, Joseph reassures his brothers that they should not feel guilty about the way they treated him. They had good reason to feel frightened and guilty. After all, they had tossed Joseph into a pit and then sold him to passing merchants who took him to Egypt to become a slave. But Joseph tells his brothers not to fear because, as it says in Genesis 45, quote, "It was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you. There have already been 2 years of famine in the land, and there remain 5 more years without plowing or harvesting. And so God sent me ahead of you to assure your survival in the land and to keep you alive for a great deliverance," unquote. He might as well have said, don't worry, it was beshert. So the word beshert suggests a fatalism that doesn't quite fit in with the lives we live today, because most of us believe in free will. We believe that we have choices and that we're responsible for the choices that we make. Most of our own actions seem to be under our control. If a student works hard and writes a fine paper, he or she expects to be rewarded with a good grade. If that paper were beshert, destined to be written in just those words, no matter what they did, any grade or reward would be meaningless. Maimonides taught that free will is a fundamental belief in Judaism. So how can Joseph say that God sent me ahead of you to assure your survival? And how can he say, which we'll read next week, that although the brothers intended to harm him, quote, God intended it for good? It's a paradox. Rabbi Akiva said, all is foreseen, and yet free choice is given. What? How can both things be possible? Well, the Joseph story helps us to understand this contradiction. On the one hand, Joseph appears to make free choices. He was a master planner who protected the surplus of the good years so that Egypt could survive during the lean ones. He cleverly tested his brothers to see if they had become men of good faith. On the other hand, as Tevye would say, Joseph sees the bigger picture, and he connects much of what he does to God. He doesn't do this when he's a young man and mostly focused on himself, but he does see things from a larger perspective as he matures, as he gets in touch with his feelings, comes to terms with his brothers, and uses his talents to save a nation, his God-given talents, he says. In doing so, he acquires humility and becomes more of a mensch who recognizes that the sun does not rise and set on him alone. For example, when Pharaoh tells Joseph that he heard that the young man was a fine interpreter of dreams, what does Joseph answer? He says, "Not I. It is God who will account for Egypt's well-being." And when he names his two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim, he explains those choices in this way. Manasseh, because God caused him to forget his troubles, and Ephraim, because God made him fruitful in his new land. So the pieces of his life are starting to fit together. He learns that he's more than his title and more than his accomplishments. He understands that what he has done fits into a larger plan. Again and again, he describes it as God's plan. It's not exactly Beshert, but he increasingly understands the connection that his life has to God. So let's look at this in terms of our lives today. Coming through a huge blizzard as we just have, and also a pandemic. Rabbi Charles Kroloff tells the story of a man who was very impressed with himself, and for good reason. A standout student, he attended an elite university and landed a plum of a job, rising to second in command of a Forbes 500 corporation. And he seemed to do it, quote, on his own, using his abundant talents to overcome every challenge that he faced. If free will was ever given, this man had it. Then, one day, he realized that his life was not complete. There was something missing. So he searched in many directions until he reconnected with his Jewish tradition. He discovered the meaning of tikkun olam, the repair of the world. He learned that Judaism expects him to be a partner with God. He discovered from studying Jewish texts that there was a plan for human beings, and he wanted to be a part of it. So the biblical Joseph also believed that God had a plan for him. So did Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., whose birthday we're going to celebrate in a few weeks, who captured that plan in a speech which he delivered at the Southern Christian Leadership Convention in 1967. Dr. King said, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice." Sometimes, especially these days, it's hard to see the moral universe pushing us toward justice, but I do believe that that is God's plan for us. We just have to look at the bigger picture. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be your will, O God. And we are, okay. We're going to continue with our Misha Baruch prayer. We're going to take a few moments to bring into our midst those members of our community who are in need of healing. And we know that there are many people who are still suffering the effects of COVID. The rates seem to go up and down based on whether new varieties are coming into our world, what the temperature is, how much we congregate. But there are also people who are struggling with a variety of other illnesses and challenges. Today, we mention specifically Christy Aldridge, Sue Chazen, Stacy Donovan, Roger Ford, David Froman, Leslie Garfinkel, Elaine Klein, Georgia Mango, Alan Mashia, Karen Rosenfeld, Brandon Ryan, Norma Stern, Brett Wolf, Marcy Wood, Mark Yablin, Neil Zions, David Benjamin Ben Nachman Vitzirel, Rashka Shendel Bat Miriam, Tirza Yehudit Bat Sarah, Yael Bat Ruth. If there are other names that should be mentioned, people to whom we would like to send our healing energy, I invite you to unmute yourselves and share their names with us now.
Joseph Iozo, Jeremy Blaisdell, Paul Matthews, and Kathleen Shaw.
Thank you. So for all those people whose names we've mentioned, for themselves and for their caretakers, we wish a complete refuah shlema, a complete healing of body and spirit in whatever manner that healing is meant to take place. Misha Berach.
The source of strength, oh, bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Let those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We continue with Aleinu, our closing prayer. If you are able, please rise in body or in spirit for Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabech l'adon hakol, l'teit gedula yotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoye haratzot, velo samanu ki mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam kelkenu kahem, begor aleinu kekol hamonam, anaknu harim, Umishtakavim umodim lifnei melech malkei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'nemar v'hayadonai memelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu Adonai echad, Moshma, Ushema,
Please be seated. And I do not know if our board member who was supposed to give the announcements is here. Jeff,
I
just said-
am. Good morning.
Oh, good morning, Steve.
Shabbat
Thank you,
shalom,
'cause I
everybody.
can't see.
No problem.
Please
Shabbat shalom. Good morning, everybody. Shabbat shalom. I'm Stephen Yanati. I'm one of the trustees. Judy, thank you for leading services today. I really enjoyed your sermon. Your accompanying us, thank you for volunteering. I would generally refer everybody to the TBZ website for most of the information, tbz.org. But I'll tell you a quick couple of highlights. We have Friday night services at 7 p.m. Delaware or Sweet Home, depending on the week. Just check the website. Saturday morning, 10:30 a.m. at 805 Delaware, also on live stream, and then sometimes on Zoom. And then Shabbat morning Torah studies, also 9:15 a.m. at 805 Delaware, also live stream and or Zoom. Sisterhood's having a fundraiser now at Dashes. Please support Dashes. Please support the Sisterhood. If you turn in your receipts to the Sisterhood, they get some credit for it later on. They do a lot for the synagogue. Also, there's a new program. I believe it's a new program starting, I think, next week for pre-K and a parent or an adult. Call Beth Steinberg to, I guess, book it, get information. There's a slight charge. There's several sessions that are scheduled. You can do one, or you can do more than one, but you can make a reservation through through Beth. I want to wish everybody a Shabbat Shalom and a happy, healthy 2023. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Steve, and Shabbat Shalom to you as well. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. Today, we are still in Shiva, people whom we've lost this past week, for Florence Katz. And I would also like to mention all of the people who lost their lives in this terrible, terrible blizzard. We are in Shloshim, 30 days of intensive mourning for Shaul Cohen, Emily Edelstein, Naomi Babbitt Kingsley, Joyce Seitz, Dorothy Shaw. And it is the yahrzeit, the anniversary of the passing of Harold Adel, Jacob Amdur, Evelyn Brenner, Gertrude Weil Cohen, Dr. Irwin Cohen, Betsy Stovroff Corin, David Harry Desbecker, Helen Barman Desbecker, Ethel W. Desmond, Simon Desmond, Robert Elster, Philip Epstein, Samuel Fagan, Joseph J. Fass, Dorothy Friedman Faxstein, Paul Laverne Fink, Sidney H. Fink, Martin M. Fleischman, Rhoda Barman Frankenstein, Samuel Gandel, Arnold B. Gardner, Samuel Greenfield, Sophie Goldberg Greenkey, Gertrude Grossman Gross, Harold Hirsch, Helen Ip Hurwitz, Sima Firestein Jacobson, Mamie Manya Khan, Louise Ullman Kostick, Ella Krieger, Sarah Kuttner, Albert Lang, Harris Lawrence, Edmund Lazarus, Joseph J. Lenzner, Stanley A. Levy, Jonathan Howard Miller, A. A. Morrison, Esther R. Morrison, Beatrice Moser, Dr. Russell J. Nizengard, Sonia Bard Piver, Max Rabin, Regina Rashkin, Alvin Rutstein, Estelle Rutstein, Dr. Nathaniel Safran, Jacob Sickerman, Alvin S. Small, Justice Jacob Tick, Robert A. Ullman, Eugene Warner, Joseph White, Herman Weil, Wayne D. Wisbaum. If there are other names that should be mentioned for Kaddish, I invite you to unmute and share their names with us at this time. As is our custom here at Temple Beth Zion, I invite you to rise if you are able for the mourner's Kaddish, and if it is your custom to recite it with me, please join me. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah v'alma divrach lirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael v'agalau v'zman kari v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah m'varach le'olam u'lamei almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'ala v'yithalal shmei t'kudisha b'richu Elah min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, da'amiran ba'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'imrumav, u'ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. May the source of peace bring peace to us, to all Israel, to the whole world, and comfort all the bereaved among us, as we say together, friends. Amen.
Amen.
And now we're going to continue with Vishamru, and Israel shall keep the Sabbath.
Hashem Yamim, Asa Adonai, Asa Adonai, Hashem Shabbat Vayinachash, Shabbat Vayinachash, V'shavu b'nei Yisrael, et b'Shabbat, b'Sod, et b'Shabbat, le'Torah
So if you have a Kiddush cup, please join me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Barei pari hagafen. L'chaim. And look at my cute little challah here. I guess we made these when we were going through the pandemic, and not a lot of people were able to grab pieces of it. Anyway, Hamotzi lachem min haaretz, we give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Hamotzi lachem min haaretz b'te'avon. No, you don't want a piece before you sing?
No, I'm having a hard enough time to say.
So before we go on to our closing song, I would just like to thank not only Gail Lewis for bringing such wonderful music to our service. I want to thank Jeff Clark for doing all the techie stuff that I'm not good at. And thank you so much. Thanks to all of you. May you have a wonderful, peaceful Shabbat and a wonderful 2023 to come. Shabbat Shalom. Adon Olam.
Asher malach keterim bo yitzir nivra leid nasa v'chefsoko azay melech shemo nikra ve'akarei kiklor acho levado yimlok noron ve'hu haya ve'hu ove
Yasher Koach, Yasher Koach. You know, you can sing Adon Olam to any melody, so I asked her if she could do it to Auld Lang Syne, and she came through. So wonderful. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I invite you to unmute yourselves. Let's wish each other a Shabbat Shalom and a Happy
Guys,
New
hit a home
Year.
run
Shabbat
there.
Shalom. Happy New Year.
You hit a home run.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Jeff.
all of us.
Thank
Let
you,
me see if I
Shalom,
can
everyone.
see everybody here. There we go. We can see everybody.
Good to
Shabbat
see you
Shalom,
all.
everyone.
Shabbat
Stephen,
shalom.
I didn't see you before this. Shabbat Shalom. Thank
Shabbat
you for
shalom.
joining us.
Thank you.
And, oh, Terry. Terry.
Yeah, Shabbat Shalom, Ruth, Ken.
And
Hi,
Ruth. and
Terry.
Ken,
Hi,
thank you
Terry.
for joining
Hi,
us.
everyone.
Ken, we gave you the morning off, Ken, so thank you for
That's
joining us
okay.
anyway. So,
I
and
don't sign up for every week, believe it or not.
but we always call on you in a pinch.
That's all right. I'm glad to help.
Thank you. And Larry Hurwitz, thank you so much for joining us. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Have a
Shabbat Shalom.
wonderful week. The weather has turned better. I don't know who was it, Ruth, or no, I guess Larry Wolfgang told me this morning his snow is completely gone. Ours is not completely gone. We got a bit more than they got in Niagara Falls, but it's almost gone. So enjoy the weather. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Have a
Shabbat
good
Shalom.
Yeah.
Shalom.
Happy New Year, everybody. Shabbat Shalom.
Happy New Year.
You too.
Thank you,
Bye.
Gail.
Okay,
Thank you, Gail.
you're welcome.
Thank
It's
you
been a
for letting me
long time.
join
It's been
you.
a couple of years since I have done one of these services.
Yeah.
And not only that, my voice was cracking off this morning because I got up late and then I ate toast. So that's why I did that.
That's why you didn't take any of the challah, right?
Well, yeah.
You did well. Thank
Very
you.
much. It's just a pleasure to join you again. I wish I had had more time to practice or to put something together, but
We couldn't
It was
tell.
great.
Honestly.
It was
Great
great.
job.
It was great. Thank you, Gail.
So,
well,
Thank you.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Bye, Ellen.
everybody.
Bye, Helen.
Take care.
Bye, Jeff. Thank you.
Thank
Go
you.
play with your
Okay,
kid.
thank you, Judy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.